And we're back on the Verdant map, trying to survive the early game. I think we've hit a reasonable amount of stability here. We got algae in the last episode. That's basically tiding us over. Though I do want to get my paws on some more of that stuff. There's a bunch of algae up here in the top left corner in the this caustic biome. Actually, ooh, there's some more right there. So I've queued up a few priority 6 dig commands so that my digger will go up there and get it. That should help tide us over even some more. This area in here, I'm just going to put in a few deodorizers too. All that oxygen is going to keep, all the polluted water is going to keep off gassing. So it'd be nice to get it all oxygenated up. Also, what are you doing? You should have that as a priority 6. Yeah, that's a priority 5. Never mind. Missed one. Now, a few other things I'm trying to get around to. I want to actually start ranching. Ranching pips. So I'm going to put in some pips to ranch in here. I also want to get my hands on some Dreckos. Actually, I haven't seen any Dreckos yet. Where's the caustic biome? Oh, great, no Dreckos. Oh well, if I get my hands on some Dreckos for plastic, that would be great. It's just the oil biomes around here are very hard to get. There's no real big oil biome, so getting plastic that way might not be the fastest method. So I'm going to give Dreckos a shot. Uh, we also want to start farming that pip that's down here. It's also planted a bunch of arbor trees. Well, that's great. We'll get more into the mechanics of that later. For the time being, I'm just going to let this play out, and we're going to dig some more. We're going to dig this out and get our hands on some more algae. Forgot to go through the research tree actually in a while. I went ahead and got brute force refinement and smart batteries, and then realized, well, I'm not actually running any power generators. Wood burners are horribly inefficient, and I'm basically sticking with the hamster wheel, so I haven't bothered upgrading to smart batteries. They don't really seem like a necessity right now. I'm getting into ranching right now, so I can get down a critter drop off and some incubators. Barring that, the rest of it is just the basic research you normally get. The only thing I really rushed for was the deodorizers, and I need to get some automation and statues in a bit as well. But I actually need to get my hands on a dupe that can handle art, which is a problem. I haven't actually got any dupes that haven't been horrible, like they've been flatulent or something along those lines. I might have to just start accepting narcoleptics at this point. It's getting that bad. We've almost got that other chunk of algae. What are we up to? We've got 2 tons of algae in the bank. That's not good enough. I prefer to have about 5 or 6, but we'll just skip forward a little bit more. As a side note, I was advised that you can pretty much turn off germs immediately. Just stop disinfecting. They keep disinfecting the toilets, but that seems it won't really make that much of a difference. So I'm going to turn that off and see how it helps. Actually, I'll put down another toilet as well. Starting to get to the point where some of them are going to need refills. Actually, they're pretty spread out. That's not too bad. I haven't upgraded to plumb toilets yet because, well, you don't start with a lot of water. That's not really a lot of water, and I don't want to go wasting it just yet. I know you can sieve the water coming out of it and put it back in, but that's germy clean water you'll be putting back in, and I don't want to do that. I know they're going to patch that out at some point, and when they do, yeah, I don't want to be playing a game at that point when it happens. Choose a blueprint. Hopefully, we'll get a decent one. Well, I think we're going to be taking this one. You can be a tinker dog. Basically, I want to get them into tinkering because I'm going to want to build a steam turbine and some of the higher end power, uh, some of the higher end power requiring buildings. And the problem is, if we go to skills, I think you need, well, you used to need electrical engineering to build some of them. Is it mechatronics engineering? Mechatronics engineering is necessary to do conveyor rails and all the other stuff involved in that. But I'm pretty sure you need electrical engineering if you want to build some of, or is it improved construction? Hmm. Hmm. You know, I'm pretty sure it's still electrical engineering to build a petroleum generator. So Tinker Dog is just going straight into tinkering. Okay. Yeah, so 6 dupes. Yes. Have I got enough beds? Yes. Have I got enough there? Oh, food. 6 by 5 means I need 30 meal wood. I've got 31. You know what? Let's add in some more. And have we actually got that algae yet? Oh, we're up to almost 4 tons. Perfect. I'll just let that finish up, and once that's done, we can get around to doing some ranching. The research should be done by then. Well, it seems I'm in luck. Digging up here, I've actually found a couple of Dreckos up in the top left corner, which means getting diggy with it here is going to be sticking around for a little bit longer. Yeah, that should get us everything we need. Actually, make these priority 6s. And give the middle something so they can breathe at least. Here we go. That should get us our hands on a couple of Dreckos. Well, when they stop gasping for breath. then I can finish tidying up some more stuff there. But I'm also going to move this pip. I'm going to move this pip down here and dump a bunch of oxyfern plants down here and see if the pip will plant the oxyferns. I've done some testing in the background on a debug test map, and it shouldn't be that hard to get them to plant. So already a little bit of success. This pip has managed to plant an oxyfern on the bottom layer. I actually meant to remove those tiles first, but well, whatever, I can do that later. Now, this is not by any means a good valid strategy. It's just killing time for me. The reason being they only emit like 7.8 kilograms or 7.8 grams of oxygen per second when they're wild. This is, well, this is terrible. You need 100 grams a second for each duplicant. So yeah, you're going to need what, 12, 13 oxyferns just to do that, and there's only about 15 in your starting biome. So this is more just a little side project. And oh my, get out of there. Oh, come on. You're about to trap yourselves again. Muppets. Never mind. So I'll just let them continue with that. This is still not done, probably because the dupes were trapped down in the bottom layer, unable to get out. But once that's done, I can wrangle some Dreckos in here. From what I've heard on the forums, these Dreckos have a limited shelf life. As in, you see there, they're about 60 degrees. They have a comfortable living range down to 15 degrees. However, the biome they're in is at negative degrees. So if you leave them in here for too long and don't bother going in and capturing them, they will freeze and evolve into meat. So maybe get your hands on them sooner rather than later, or at least prioritize it slightly. Also, what I'm doing here is I'm digging up all the oxyfern around the map. This oxyfern here, it's halted. The growth of it is all halted because it's just in the wrong places. Once I dump it all down here, it should hopefully help. Whoa, I got a morb. What is the priorities on this set at? Damn, okay. You know what? I totally forgot to set the priorities on these. That is stupid of me. Also, I'm going to kill the morb. Do I have slime lung in here? I'm going to have slime lung in here, aren't I? Buggery. Little slime lung never hurt anyone. Well, okay, it hasn't killed anyone in recent patches. Slime lung on this is still going to be fairly weak, so we're not too worried. Alright. We'll just cut it forward a bit here. There's still lots to do, and I don't have enough dupes to get it all done. And the dupe gods have been kind to us, and we've actually got a dupe that's good for both art or ranching. So, yeah, and they're a quick learner, and all they've got as a negative is squeamish. Perfect. This one is allowed sleeper and flatchton, so I'm taking either of those. Yep, we've got ourselves an art dog. Which reminds me, I should probably change these schedules around a bit. Art dog can go in here. Actually, Tinker Dog can go into the next schedule. There we go. Third schedule, offset from the other two, and we'll just stick Tinker Dog in there. I know Tinker Dog should be up here, but whatever, close enough. Priorities-wise, I want to start actually getting some of these into more of the construction-based stuff. Namely, I'm not getting things built very quickly, which is bad. I need to start building things faster because I have a limited supply of oxygen. Now, where's decorating? Yeah, you. Decorating? Why did I put you in decorating? No, you're supposed to be operate. So operate for Tinkerdug, art for Artdug, and they both have build and dig up by 1. Currently, the beasties they're just set to help out my dog's body, just because I need more labor at this point in the game. The reason being, there's just so much little things to do. These are very labor-intensive crops I'm using. The toilets are still the basic stuff you start with, which means I'm kind of in trouble on that end also. There's a lot of just... Oh, come on. How did you accidentally lock the pip out? That's just... Okay, open that door. I'm trying to get this pip down here with a bunch of seeds to actually start placing down... Yeah, there we go. We'll close the door now. I basically want to trap the pip in here with a bunch of oxyfern seeds and let them... Nope, don't go out. Don't go out. I'm going to trap them there with a bunch of oxyferns, and hopefully they'll plant most of them. They should have enough space down there. Okay, so I finally managed to trap the pip down here after they escaped a couple of times. And now they're trapped down here with a few oxyferns. We'll just see how that works out. I'm not really expecting that much out of it, to be honest. Over here, we're going to actually get Dreckos and Drecklets dropped off. Yeah, and we've got already a couple of beasties, so let's go wrangle some critters. So that'll give me a couple of those to work with. We're going to want to feed them mealwood as well. The reason for the mealwood is we want to turn them into plastic Dreckos. We want plastic, basically. Now, all of that's done. I want to put in acorns in here. Okay, yeah. I want to plant trees in this section. That's going to be for ranching, well, pips. Well, once that pip is finished doing whatever it's doing down there. Are you planting mealwood? Oh my god, you're planting mealwood. Ugh, I really should have taken the mealwood seeds out. You know what? I am going to collect all the seeds up here as well. So that's all the seeds except the ones I actually want to be planting right about now. And I should hopefully stick them in that box and remove them as a problem for this thing down here. What are you planting now? Please tell me it's something good. Mealwood, more mealwood. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to dig all those up now. Oh, and yeah, there's mirth leaf. Yeah, never mind. We'll just cut forward a bit. Now, ooh, one thing I forgot to do was I forgot to put a light in the ranch. To do your ranches now, they need to have a light in them. Wait, stables. How is that a stables? Oh, it's got an actual shine bug in there. Oh, I don't want to ranch shine bugs. Mm, yeah, that'll take care of that problem. Oh, and there's another one in there. Yeah, there's some emergency shine bugs up there. I don't care if a few of these don't make it. So you really want to actually put in a light in here just to make sure that you can turn it into a ranch. I'm just going to shear these Dreckos just for a little bit of reed fiber because getting exosuits up is what you want, and the rest of the Dreckos, I'm basically going to convert them into uh, glossy Dreckos. That's why I've got the 4 mealwood plants in there, so they have something to eat, and anytime they eat it, it increases their chance of converting into glossy Dreckos. Never been a fan of glossy Drecko myself. I've normally been more into going straight for oil, but this new map kind of forces you to make different decisions. Now, I think we've got all of that covered. I think I'm going to have to crack this open, so I've placed one of my few buddy buds. I've only found 3 so far, but I've placed it here, and I'm going to spread out some germs, and then I'm going to dig this out and have to deal with all that slime lung. I think what I'll do is probably put a big wall of deodorizers up here, and then open this up, and hopefully we can, and then maybe block all my dupes from going in there for like 15 or 20 cycles until it's all gone. The buddy bud should take care of any problems. Also, I'm probably going to want to decrease the floor here. I'm probably going to dig down some more and get access to more algae and slime. I also have another space over here where I can gain access to algae and slime. But the only reason I'm digging this out is I want to put in a big electrolyzer setup here. This seems like a decent place and it's close to this biome where I can run the oxygen through to cool it down. Though I can't dig through obsidian yet because I haven't got the necessary skills. And I have 7 idle dupes. Okay, that's bad. I'm going to queue up some commands. So it's time to start ranching pips. I've left the pip in here with a bunch of acorn seeds. Those acorn seeds, and I've left a gap here. Now I'm going to go over to a test map so I can show you why I'm going through this ridiculous effort. So I'll just pause it here and we'll jump over. So this is a test map where I did a bunch of testing on, well, arbor trees and pips and a few other things. Arbor trees basically grow like this. They take up 2 tiles of space. They're actually 2 tiles high. And they grow for 18 cycles. It takes them 18 cycles to achieve full size, and that's when they'll look like this. See, that's what it looks like it's 3 tiles high, but that's really only a 2 tiles high arbor tree in the middle. So after 18 wild cycles, or 4.5 domesticated cycles, that will finish. Once it's finished and has hit that point, it will start growing branches. These little branches at the side, there's 7 of them. Those branches seem to take about the same amount of time, so 4.5 domestic, 18 wild. Pips, however, pips survive by eating the branches. So pips will consume the branches, and from what I can tell, they gain 1,000 calories from eating a branch, and they only go through 100 calories in a day. So you can use. I tested using 2, 4, and 3 trees, and I could support 8 pips on 2 trees, no problem. In fact, I'm pretty sure I could support 8 pips on 1 tree, but I was not going to be bothered testing it at that point. So with 2 trees, you can basically keep 8 pips going indefinitely. So it's free food at that point. So that's what I'm going to be aiming for here. Now, pips do plant things, so I did some planting testing up here. A lot of planting testing. Now, you can get pips to do this very nice, see this there, 3 tiles along, all like that. Now, pips are a little bit odd. You can force them to plant in certain areas and try and optimize things, so I'll just show you how you can optimize them, though honestly, I would not be this bothered going to this much effort. It can be done. Now, let's actually use debug speed here. If you leave one square open, the pips will run around. Eventually they'll pick up that seed and they'll plant it in that spot. Or they should. Oh, there we go. So as you see, they planted that seed. Then what you can do, if you really want to maximize things, you can deconstruct that ladder tile, and now they'll plant another seed right in that spot. Okay, apologies. It seems like the whatchamacallit, the plants below are interfering with the plants above. I never did a huge amount of testing because I wasn't exactly stress testing this to the limit. One moment. We'll just get rid of all of this for a second. And that's gotten rid of it. Deconstruct. So all they do is you deconstruct this building here, and then they plant another thimbleweed. Then if you deconstruct these 3 tiles, they will not plant anything there. Once you get the 4th tile up, they'll actually plant one there. And then you can keep repeating this until they've actually planted all the seeds all the way across, and you'll have 3 plants, 3 gap, and then 3 more plants, then 3 gap, then 3 plants. However, that's really time consuming. It's really time consuming. So if you want to do that, you can. Personally, not really a fan of that much micromanagement. Instead, I use a more, yeah, let's just throw them down and see where they plant them approach. It will not be quite as efficient though. So up here you can get in 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You're going to get in about 18. Down here we'll get between 11 to 13. It's just the way it works out. So depending on how efficient you want to be, if you want to be super efficient, you can do it this way. But I'd prefer just not to care too much. That brings us back to these plants. Now, trying to replicate these trees is actually a pain in the butt. You can't harvest seeds from them. It says, where is it? In the current patch anyway, it says, was it base chance for seeds, harvest 10% chance. So that means every time you harvest them, you should get a chance to get a seed. However, if we look at the harvest plants here, you'll notice they've got they've got 7 branches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the main plant itself. The main plant you can't actually harvest because it's not an actual tree. Well, it's not an actual wood thing. If you harvest that, there'll be no tree left. So when you harvest the branches, you don't actually get any seed drops. I've tested this, so you don't get seed drops from it. The only way to currently get seeds from an arbor tree right now is pips. Pips will come along to a tree and they'll rummage it or something. I'm not sure of the exact mechanic, but basically they'll rummage through the tree and sometimes they pull out an acorn. However, they can only do it once per tree. And by once per tree, what I mean is you plant a tree, it grows until it's a full-sized arbor tree. But the branches, whether the branches have started or not, doesn't matter. So long as it's a 100% grown arbor tree, a pip can come along and rummage through it and potentially get you an acorn to plant another tree. They can only do it once. That's it. The only way to get another chance at getting an arbor acorn is to demolish the tree, replant it, and then you've got another chance at getting it. And what's your odds? Well, I threw down, I think it was 12 trees, and I got 4 acorns out of 12 trees, which means you get about a 33% chance. Bear in mind, though, that's a small sample size. You'd really want to do it with about 120 trees just to figure out what a more accurate average is, or go through the code. That would probably be simpler. But you've got about a 33% chance of getting another acorn seed from each one of these trees every time you plant them. So if you want to keep farming these trees or grow your supply of them, you're going to have to dig up the trees, plant them again, wait until they grow up to full size, which is 18 cycles for them to actually grow the main trunk. Then a pip can come along and rummage through it and it maybe get an acorn. Once that's done, if you want to keep farming more acorns, demolish the tree, replant it again, continue ad nauseum until you've got as many as you want. So you can theoretically farm more arbor trees. It's just painful. That covers most of that. And as for actually planting the trees in your ranches, wild ones, 2 wild ones will feed all your pips, so that's great. And you can basically control where things get planted by using ladder tiles. Ladder segments can basically stop pips from planting in an area until you're ready if you want to actually control planting. Oh yeah, I think that covers most of what's important about the pips and trees. Wait, no, I left something out. They've changed what pips can plant in. They used to be able to plant in everything. Now there's a limit. They can plant in granite, so they're able to plant. Well, the main tree plants you currently care about are, in order of importance, I suppose, the arbor trees. Actually, not even order of importance, in random order. Arbor trees, reed fiber, oxyferns, mealwood. All 4 of those can be planted in all the starting biome rock types. So granite, igneous rock, dirt, and aluminum ore. They can plant into all 4 of those. which means so long as there's any leftover tiles in your starting area, you can have your pipsqueaks or your pips plant in those wild areas. Okay, that should cover all the mechanics you need to know about those for now. So with all of that out of the way, this is why this particular ranch looks this way. What I'm doing here is I've dumped a bunch of, well, I am dumping a bunch of arbor acorns in here. I'm going to actually set it to sweep only now. I think I've only got 4 acorns wild. Yeah, I've only got 4 available to me. So we'll put that to sweep only. I'm going to let that pip dig it up, and they will plant that acorn right in there. Then once they've done that, I can rip out this ladder segment and put in another acorn right there. That will give me 2 trees. Then once that's done, I am going to demolish the rest of them and just let them plant whatever they want as much as they want. These first 2 trees will provide the food for the pips. I'm going to let them go up to a population of 8. Oh, there they are, ripping the acorns out of the storage bin. So these first 2 trees will allow them to get up to a population of 8, and then I'm going to let them plant acorns all the way through here as much as they want to their heart's content, wherever they want. And then once the trees grow up old enough, they can, well, eat them. Well, not eat them. They can rummage through them for food, or rummage through them for more acorns, so I can increase my my tree population. So this is going to be basically tree population expansion. But at the same time, these pips are not that bad. They, their meat drop is not as good as hatches. They have half the meat drop of hatches. However, in all other respects, they're identical. They have their life cycle is 100 cycles. They live for 100 cycles. They have the same egg drop rate, and their eggs are identical. So you can farm these for eggs. And because they feed off the trees and you don't actually have to do anything, they're effectively a free source of eggs. You could make several ranches of these and just live off omelets. This map, there's not that much good food going on. You basically start with mealwood. There's no bristleberries. All the rest of the food is in other areas. You can get into slime and use mushrooms, which I'm tempted by, but I, I I'm not a big fan of mushrooms in general. Just one of my own personal preferences, but it's quite a viable strategy. Yeah. I'm actually going to get rid of all of this. I'm going to leave that tree for now. I'm still harvesting some of the wild trees that are around the place for wood, because we are going to actually have to get into, what is it? We're going to have to start making ethanol. That's going to be our power source of choice. All right, done, done, and done. Now I'm going to break this open and let in, and oh, actually, yeah, that was it. There's something up here, and I want to go have a look at it. Let's have a look-see. What does that sound like? You know what? I'll find out when I get there, and of course, that's obsidian. Okay, I can't get through that yet because I do not have, oh, would you look at that? Yes, super hard digging allows you to dig diamond and obsidian. Obsidian is important on this map because obsidian is going to be important on every map. Diamond, however, there's not many oil biomes. I'm not even sure if there is any diamond on this map, to be honest, but yeah, that's going to be necessary to get them up to that. Notice their morale. That's because they get +1 morale for each one of these they go into, so they got actually +3 morale from doing all of these. At the same time, they got -1 for this, -2 for that, -3 for that. So they've changed how the system works. Instead of actually not costing you as much morale, it just gives you a bonus to morale and a negative to morale at the same time, getting something you have an interest in. For example, Mega Mind here, what are we going to put you in? Actually, you're going straight into gophering because we want to get you up into exosuits. This is about the time you're going to start, once everyone's got their ranching skills and their basics, like once Art Doug's got into Masterworks, everyone will get into improved carrying and then exosuit training. That's the be-all, end-all for everyone. They all want to get into exosuits. Once they master their basic skill, it's straight into exosuits after that so that they can leave the base in an exosuit, and it just makes them more useful. Priorities 6. These nosh sprouts, yeah, don't worry about them. Currently, they're terrible. Wild growth life cycle is 84, domestic is 21. The amount of water and phosphorite they cost, they're just horrendous right now. They're pretty much a waste of time. They might be patched out, they might be changed, I don't know. But for the time being, I wouldn't worry too much about them. Now let's start breaking this open. Yeah, I've maybe went a little bit ham on the deodorizers here, but I don't like slime lung. I really do not like slime lung. Oh, actually, I can dig all of this out now, and not going to worry. I'm just going to dig out this, and we're going to put in the oxygen, the electrolyzer setup. Once the electrolyzer setup is in and the oxygen is flowing, then we'll do the power for power making out of ethanol, and then we'll probably cut it out there. At that point, the base should be reasonably stable, and we can move on to the next map type. It's actually been quite fun figuring this out. Oh, and one of the reasons I want to check this is every map I've checked, they usually have a lot more water sources on these maps. Before, oh, there's another vent right over here. Before, you used to worry about finding enough water on a map, but I think they're trying to push us towards water not being an issue. The problem was we would skimp on water. You could get really badly hurt if you ended up on a water poor map, and because of that, we found ways around it. But this basically de-emphasized the importance of farming, which made farming very weak, and that was a whole mechanic that I think the devs didn't want to lose, and I can understand why. So what they seem to have done, or what I think they've done, is they've basically made water much more common. I've seen a lot more water vents, saltwater geyser vents, polluted water vents, just generally lots more water on a map. Before, you wouldn't be guaranteed 4 or 5 kilos of water. You could end up with only 3 kilos of water on your map and you'd be starved. Now I think they're pushing for it more to be about an average of about 7 kilos of water. Well, at least on this map anyway. What's that? Polluted water vent. Okay, so food poisoning. Yeah, okay, I've now got access to more than enough water to produce all the oxygen I'm going to need. I think I might just dig that out shortly and let it flow down in here. Eh, I'll skip it forward here, but the main thing to take away is, yeah, water seems to be a lot more common. I'm going to dig this out and see what it is. If that's more water, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was, it's just an indication that water is much more common now. You don't have to worry as much. Yeah. Okay, a little bit of a side note. Contact with allergic reaction germs and is at risk of exposure if contact continues. I think allergic reaction has been minimized now so that immediate contact with germs doesn't, or floral germs or slime lung germs, doesn't immediately cause them to go ballistic. So I think they've improved allergic so it's not nearly as bad, meaning a small amount of exposure should be okay for them. No, it can't be sure. Medium exposure to slime lung germs, though, this is interesting. This duplicant has been exposed to a concentration of slime lung germs and is at risk of waking up sick on their next shift. Exposed by breathing germ-filled polluted oxygen, rate of contracting slime lung 6%, resistance rating 5.5, base slime lung resistance 7, germ resistance 0, medium exposure minus 1.5. Okay, so median exposure. They've given us a lot more information to work with. I'm still not too sure exactly what's going on, but at least there's information for me to look at. This was probably the main concern people had, was they couldn't figure out what was going on with all these germs and why their dupes were getting sick, etc. Now you can actually look through the data. Actually, we'll get rid of all of that. Yeah, that can all go. I basically want to get that stuff decontaminated as soon as possible. A few dupes are probably going to get sick. I don't care. I haven't even built a med bay. Also, I don't have a doctor. What are you standing around in the slime lung germs for? Oh yeah, I haven't given you any jobs to do, have I? Oh, the dupes finished up here? Ah, yes. Let's see what's in here. Also, there's these salt vines. Salt vines consume chlorine, so they will actually eat all the chlorine in an area. Pretty handy. They're supposed to work well with the rust deoxidizers. The new oxygen production system here, rust deoxidizers. Rust deoxidizers produce 507 grams of oxygen, 30 grams of chlorine, and they consume rust and salt. Here's the thing. They're great and all that, but they're not self-powered. They're not a self-powered electrolyzer like a self-powered electrolyzer. So you're going to have to pay power to run them. For example, this one's going to cost you, to get about a kilo of oxygen per second, you're looking at about 120 watts, which is not a lot, but you're also going to need duplicate labor to bring along the rust and the salt. So it's okay. I'm glad they made it very low power requirement. The 60 watts was a smart choice, because if they made this 120 watts, no one would ever build one. Not a chance. Even at 60 watts, 60 watts, you think, okay, that's actually viable. Still won't compete with an electrolyzer, a proper self-powered electrolyzer setup, but it's a step in the right direction, in my opinion. Now, let's get rid of all of this. Actually, yeah, let's just dig all that up. Yeah, dupes aren't going to reach that far there. You know what? There we go. Perfect. Yeah, I'm going to end up with some very sick dupes, aren't I? Can't care too much. Oh, the arbor tree is actually down, so that arbor tree is now growing, which means I can deconstruct this and plant another tree. Now, I'm going to have to remove these ladder segments on the side, but I don't want to do that just yet. I want to let the second tree go down, then I'll remove the ladder segments. I don't want any other trees interfering with this. But once those two go in, the rest of this can all go, and I'll probably start demolishing some of the trees around the map. Not these ones, though. Yeah, these trees have actually fully grown now that are 100%, and they're actually starting to grow branches. I might want to actually release a pip down here just to rummage through them, just to see if we can get an any more seeds out of them. So I might actually transfer that pip down once it's planted this second arbor tree. Um, yeah, these things take 18.4 cycles wild to grow, and until they're actually, I'm not going to ranch this pip just yet. If I put in a duplicate there to ranch it, it's going to start consuming calories, and I have no way of feeding it just yet. I'd have to actually release it out here to consume branches every 10 cycles or so, or it'd start starving to death. So I need to let the tree grow first before I can actually release them back into the wild. Now, let's see if we can't get ourselves some foraging going on here. So I just released that pip down there. They're now taking a bite. I have no idea how long it takes them to forage. No, in my testing, I just had about 10 pips running around the place. But theoretically, that pip at some point should start foraging that tree. And I think they're trapped. Actually, no, they're not trapped up there. Oh, actually, no, they are. Perfect. I have no idea how long that takes. We'll have to see how it goes. Ooh, duplicate choice. What have we got? Twinkle toes, squeamish, gastrophobia. All of those are actually good. What do we need now? One moment. So I've decided I'm going to get another digger. Uh, Basically, they have mole hands, +3 construction, +3 athletics. So 3 digging, 3 construction, and they're fast. So why not? Also, the night owl means I'll stick them on a shift where they'll be awake during the night. It's perfection for them. Now, these uh, these ones that have decorating and suit wearing, they've only got one interest. Getting one interest at the start is excellent when you're trying to expand quickly. But later on, you're going to want to aim for 2 or even 3 interests because that will reduce their morale costs long term. We're past the early game. We're past all the stuff where we want everyone to be, really fast at their jobs. Now we can afford to, well, take a little bit of time to develop them. It's just now, if you'll notice here, the dupe is going to be awake during the actual nighttime hours. The nighttime hours are actually here, but this dupe will actually be awake and working, and they have the night owl trait. Night owl trait means they get a bonus to working at night. It's the same like the early bird. Early birds, they get a bonus to working just in the morning for the first, I think it's the first 3 chunks of time. So they'll get a bit of a +3 to all their stats or a +2 to all their stats. I can't remember for sure. So if you've got a night owl, you might as well offset them on their shifts so that they're not actually not asleep during the night and wasting that bonus. At that, we have hit 8 dupes. We have 8 beds. We have 9 tables because I can't count. And we're probably going to want to expand the crops a little bit more. Wow, actually, the crops is kind of gone a little bit long. Yeah, so we're going to need 40. Yeah, we'll stick in another 5. Done. Now, I've almost finished extracting this place for maximum value. Let me think. This space here will be used as our electrolyzer. I'm probably going to put in my power maybe below it. I'll just end up dropping all this water down further, though I'm probably going to want to do something about all the slime that's in there first. I'm going to have to set up slime storage. I've been rather lazy about that so far. In fact, I should probably set up bleachstone storage. That stuff I've just been letting off gas, which uh, it's weird. The longer I've played this game, the less concerned I am about a bit of chlorine or any of those random gases are getting into my base. Now, have these pips actually done their job? How have we got? Oh, okay. No acorns left? One moment. Harvest plants. Nope. So that so that it hasn't actually done anything and gotten me any acorns. Has it actually rummaged them? I don't know if you can actually tell if it's rummaged the tree yet. Oh yeah, I'll leave it there a bit longer. It's going to be a while until the trees appear. Oh, that is important. Delete these. There seems to be a weird thing when these trees hit full size. If there's no space for their branches, the moment they get the main trunk hits 100%, those branches do not grow. And then they never grow after that, as in they just get stunted permanently. Well, that's what I've observed. I don't know if that's something that will be patched out or fixed in the future, but that's just my experience so far. Germs still nasty up there. I don't think I've had any dupes get sick. Yeah, good. I'll just finish this little bit of construction off. So that's just that cleared, though I have encountered a few other things I need to go over very quickly. Let's see, this was a polluted water vent, 9.9 kilos, and this over here turned out to be a saltwater geyser. So these geysers and vents of these types, they usually turn out to be about 2.5 kilos each. So I'm looking at about 5 kilos of water. So I could basically support, let's see, 8.8 duplicants of oxygen per kilo. So 8, 16, 24. So say 3 kilos, I'd put it into, if I put 3 kilos into oxygen, 3 kilos of the water into oxygen, I can basically give all my dupes oxygen, or 24 dupes oxygen, and I'll have 2 kilos of water per second left over, which means I could probably run whatever crops I want. Um, yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Oh, this down here. I decided to install, oh, actually, one second. Cancel that. Deconstruct this. Yeah, what I'm doing here is I've actually just set up a carbon skimmer because the carbon here is starting to get a little bit out of control. Oh, and I spilt a bunch. Yeah, it was going to happen. Not going to worry too much. And I've started strip mining this area for more algae because I'm always paranoid about running out. I have 6 tons. I know I shouldn't be worried, but I'm going to worry about it anyway. Uh, we'll just get rid of all this junk. Actually, no, I'll wait until the ladders go into place. I'm going to end up with a few chunks of polluted oxygen in here if I do it that way. Oops. Now, that pretty much covers... Oh, has that pip actually managed to get anything out? No, it has not. You know what? I am just going to dig these up. It doesn't seem to have foraged anything out of there. I don't know if I'm messing it up or if it takes more than one pip or it takes some other action. But normally it would just dig into the plants. I have walled it in there and it has decided not to forage any seeds out of any of them. So I'm going to dig up the lot and move the pip back in here. It's going to be another while before that's ready though for them to be groomed. And down here, I've removed all of that and I've put in a wall or actual tiles. The reason for that is I want to move a hatch in here. Where's my hatch? Yeah, this hatch is burrowed. Sneaky, sneaky hatches. Yeah, hatches like to burrow into the dirt, and that's very annoying because it's really hard to find them when you don't have walls down or tiles down. Now we're just going to set them up with some well, my only hatch, we're going to set it up with some sedimentary rock, and then we're going to start basically converting them to stone hatches. Stone hatches will get us a renewable source of coal, and they're pretty handy. Plus, they're easy to farm and well, easy to ranch, and I have been ranching them for quite a while. I can't help myself. Now down here, how are we looking? Yeah, that's all looking good. Let's just start digging this all up. All of it can go. A little bit of slime lung's going to escape. I'm not going to cry. Get rid of all of you. That's keeping my algae nice and topped up. So next up is oxygen diffuser. That needs to go in here. I'm not actually going to crack these open just yet. I don't want the water pouring down. I'm not even sure. That's so much water. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with it all. I'll probably, actually, maybe I should break this open now and let it pour in. No, no. First, I'm going to put in the outline of the electrolyzer. Then we're going to do that. I'm just going to go with a small electrolyzer setup here. I'm not continuing this map to the end, so I just want to basically get this up and running as quickly as I possibly can so I can start getting into ethanol. I want to get I want to hammer out the kinks on the power aspect of this map. So I'll just throw together a quick electrolyzer. We'll stick at 8 dupes. There's no need to go too crazy. I was actually planning on building one of the Rodriguez 3 kilo ones, and then I thought, wait, no, I'm not going to be sticking around that long on this map. I really just want to I really want to just sort out the kinks and then move on. So I'll just skip forward a little bit more. You've seen one of these go together before, probably. Now, while that little project is going on, I've built in the hydrogen generators and all that. It's all getting up to speed. I've managed to get my artist up to level 2. Where is it? ArtDoug. ArtDoug has aesthetic design up to level 2. In fact, I've had it for a while. I just completely forgot to do the necessaries to make my normal hall into a great hall. So we just stick in a water cooler and a large sculpting block. Now, if you check out the room overlays, for a great hall, all you need is a recreational building. That's a water cooler, basically. And you need a decor item of 20 plus. Now, a decor item of 20 plus, slightly trickier. I've done a bunch of testing. Basically, you can't use a... I thought you could use a pedestal and maybe put something on it, you'd get that plus 20 decor. No. You can't use plants anymore, so plants don't count for that plus 20 decor item, so no. Large sculpting box, pretty much all you can go with. They're the cheapest, easiest one to get, and all you need is an artist with level 2 in artistry. So a level 2 artist and a large sculpting block. Water cooler, you're done. You can actually get yourself a great haul, which will be an extra plus 3 morale for all my dupes. And there's ArtDoug about to finish that up. And if we check here, it's currently a mess hall. Boom, great hall. There we go. Plus 3 morale for all my duplicants from now on, every time they eat in that hall. It's such a simple and easy buff to get. It's totally worth it. All you need is a water cooler, which, okay, fine, it's going to cost you a little bit of water. However, you can disable the building. If you want, you can disable the building and it will still give you the morale bonus. Well, it did last I checked, but I like to stay inside within the developer's intent, so I just leave it there. At some point, you know they're going to patch that and fix it, so I'm just going to live with it now. That way I won't complain when they remove it. Alright, and that's done. We'll just have to wait for that to finish. There's so much construction that goes on here. I'm using the new radiant pipes made out of aluminum ore, so I'm actually curious to see what the properties are. 41 thermal conductivity. Wow! Just to put that in perspective, wolframite, which was the earliest one you could get before, had a thermal conductivity, I think, of 15 or 16. So aluminum ore is now the best early game ventilation radiant pipe you can get. That's kind of excellent. The only thing better than this now is still steel. Steel radiant pipe has about 110 thermal conductivity, which makes it, well, the best of the lot. Okay, that'll finish that up. Now all I got to do is route the oxygen through here. Fairly straightforward to do. All I'll do is I'll just dig across here and dump the pipe in. Actually, where is my pipe? Oh, down here. Oh, yeah. Now I'm having the hydrogen get pumped up here. It's going to zigzag all the way through here before getting into the generators. The reason I'm doing that is I wanted to soak up the heat. I'm going to literally brick this place in igneous, in insulated tiles. And then to take care of all the heat, I'm going to have the hydrogen that's going here in here and being burnt off in the generators. That's going to absorb heat as it passes through here. And once it's burnt off in the generators, that destroys the heat. All of the things in here are made of gold amalgam, so that they have an overheat temperature of 125, except for the battery, which is made of gold. So it has an overheat temperature of 125 as well. We'll make that 60 and 50. And the automation wire is connected across. Very straightforward. This is just how you put together a basic electrolyzer setup. Now for the power itself, I've got the power running here off a transformer just to ensure I don't overload anything. I'm also going to run this power off to probably a water sieve and a water pump so that the whole thing is just self-contained and powers itself. The reason for the transformer is currently, you'll notice there on the wire there's 960 watts. So by limiting it with the transformer, I can still dump more on than I need, and if it's ever drawing more power than is required, it'll just stifle itself a little bit, but not enough that it should interfere with oxygen production. Okay, let's skip forward a bit. Now, while this very slow process is going on, I queued up way too much stuff. I've decided to plant a salt vine down here. These salt vines they're actually really handy because they'll consume chlorine. Slowly, but surely, they will consume chlorine. I put one down here earlier, and all the little packets of chlorine that were down here have gone. Well, they're either gone down here or gone over here or been absorbed by the plant. But I'm going to place that there, and it should basically eat up all the chlorine that's been hanging around in this spot for, well, way too long. So you can see all that chlorine there. We'll come back in a bit and we'll see how much chlorine is left after it's finished. Now this is of course taking way too long because I'm running the pipe all the way through the coal biome, and there's a bunch of radiant pipe and insulated pipe, and it's very time consuming. I should really come up with a better way of cooling my oxygen early on. I am tempted, well, I wouldn't say tempted, the new ice machines, or is it the ice maker? The problem is it's not really a reliable, well, it is reliable. It's just using it early on requires an awful lot of labor and power that I'm not willing to put into it. I'd rather just use the natural environment. Even if I do have to invest in that little bit of extra infrastructure, I'm more than happy to do that because I know it'll last me for a long time. So I've managed to get most of this up and running. Now the only plan is to actually turn the whole system on. Normally I just hook up some coal generators, but I don't have a lot of coal just yet. So I'm actually just going to throw on 3 hamster wheels here and see what happens. Battery charged, yeah. What's missing? Water goes in there, water gets filtered, water gets spit out. Oh, yeah, we didn't have sand. Never mind. We'll make that a level 6 because that's a high priority. That gives us the water. Now, I've had the water just go in here and I'm going to have it zigzag around. It's going to be 40. How is that 33 degrees? Wait a minute. According to the patch, well, last I read, if you put, it didn't matter what temperature the water was that went in, it would always be 40 degrees or higher. But this is coming out at 33. That's amazing. If you can put polluted water in, sieve it, and get it back at the temperature you put it in, yeah, I'm down with that. That seems perfectly sane. Yes, yes, please. Okay. Anyway, let's start the system booting up. Now, in my normal messed up fashion, I'm just letting it vent out at first. If you'll notice here, the all the hydrogen, everything, I'm just spitting it out. I'm just trying to clean out the system until this is all gone to hydrogen at the top. Once this is all hydrogen and all the oxygen is gone, then I can start dumping the hydrogen into the hydrogen system or into the hydrogen generators, and this whole system becomes self-sustained. Just that last piece of oxygen. Come on. There we go. Now, once that's done, perfect, we shall hook up this gas pipe. Give me your radiant gas pipe. Done. Oh, one little blob of oxygen. Never mind. My bad. That will cause a tiny bit of damage to one of the generators, but after that it should be okay. And now that that's flowing, ouch, we can start insulating the sucker in. We'll make you a priority 7 to repair. Okay, and that's it. We now have oxygen production up and running off this polluted water tank here, going through this water sieve. The whole thing should be powered by these generators. Well, it will be powered by these generators once I get that repaired, this sealed up, and those removed. Currently, all the oxygen, though, I'm just dumping it out everywhere. I'm basically trying to pressurize this whole area because having more gas pressure in here will mean that it'll transfer temperature better with the surrounding environment. For example, if we check this last packet coming out here, what's it at? Minus 3.8. That is going to be dumped back into our base. Ooh, actually, I haven't even set that up back here. Fairly straightforward, actually. So there's all the ventilation in. I'm not even going to bother running at long distances into my base. I've learned after a while, you just run it down the center, it'll spread out far enough. You don't have to worry. All the carbon dioxide down at the bottom of my base is ending up in these two pits, and even if it does get up here, the carbon skimmer takes care of it, or the oxyferns. All the chlorine that was here, most of it appears to have been consumed. Well, okay, there's a bit left. There's chlorine and some polluted oxygen. But yeah, I'm quite happy with throwing these plants down here. They do quite a nice job of just removing that annoyance because the chlorine always was one of those problems. I mean, I feel actually kind of confident to go up here and demolish all of this just because that chlorine's not going to become an issue. It'll float down and then it'll just get consumed by the plants down there. Oh, yeah, just to cover this entire electrolyzer setup, you can ignore that power cable. That's where the generators were. It's all being powered by these two hydrogen generators. So these two hydrogen generators here are providing enough power to run all the gas pumps, all the electrolyzers, and the liquid pump and the water sieve. Now, true, if you look at this, it's 1.32 kilowatts, but the power draw is being limited by this transformer. Occasionally gets a little bit stifled. Maybe things will stutter a little bit here and there. But by and large, you'll notice here we're pumping out 1 kilo of oxygen per second. It's coming out, well, okay, it's going to keep warming up as the system heats up. But coming back, it's down to minus 1 degree or so. So free oxygen basically from water. And if I need more water, I've been planning ahead on this, I can just build a ladder straight up here and then I'll just tap into that water tank and all that water will flow down there right into the system. So for water wise, I'm pretty much covered. Is there any slime lung in there? No. So water wise, this is it. Solved for quite some time. We've bought ourselves a nice long period where we don't have to worry about oxygen. We can actually start disabling these diffusers and we can start saving up some algae. I'd actually gone down to about 2 tons, probably really not the nicest thing, but who cares? That's oxygen sorted. Now, one last thing, I want to do a little bit of experiment with this to see how cold the water can go in before this maxes out the temperature. That should not be coming out at 33.3. So, with just a little bit of testing here, it seems, yeah, water sieves do not heat up water anymore. You put in polluted water, you get out clean water at the same temperature as the polluted water went in. Okay, that changes things quite a bit. Okay, I thought it used to be, well, for a brief time during the patch, or at least everyone was saying, the minimum output temperature was 40 degrees on a water sieve, but it had no maximum output temperature, as in you could put in hotter water and you just get out hotter water. If you put in 60-degree polluted water, you'd get out 60-degree clean water. But in 0-degree polluted water, you'd still get out 40-degree clean water. Okay, let's try one last thing. So it would appear to be possible to put through, well, really cold polluted water, and that cold polluted water will actually damage the pipe. It will immediately freeze on exit the moment you turn it into regular water. I mean, there's ice coming out at what, minus 15? It does appear to do a little bit of heating up, but I think that might be to do with the sand that's actually in there. Yeah, so, you're going to have to be wary not to avoid putting freezing cold water in there. Water so cold that or polluted water so cold that it will freeze the pipes on the way out. Good to know. Good to know. This will make the game definitely more interesting. Okay, so footage-wise, I am way over budget. I was hoping to get this whole map done and just cover all the new mechanics in 2 videos. Not a chance. There's no way I'm going to get ethanol in. I think I've got about 50 minutes of video I've got to trim down already. I think what I'm going to do here is cut out this map here, the Arborea map, which is the next one up. Arborea? Aroba? I'll figure out the pronunciation later. That one basically starts in a forest biome as well, so a lot of the same things are going to apply, and I'm going to have to use ethanol there too, so I might just skip until then. Just to cover just to cover the main plan though. This is basically a tree farming place where I make more trees. I'm also able to farm pips, which are going to get me into eggs, which will get me omelets, which means I can use the omelets to, well, feed my duplicates, get them off of that really labor-intensive mealwood. At the same time, I'm starting up some stone hatches, though, how's that hatch doing? What the? 20% for sage? Well, it's 48% for stone hatches next. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that would get me into stone hatches and get me coal, which is handy, but realistically, I'm not sure how good. I was just doing it as a safety net. This here is where I was going to dump all the plastic Dreckos. Plastic Dreckos are actually starting to be hatched now. Where's critter eggs? We've got Drecklet eggs, glossy Drecklet eggs. We've got 2 glossy Dreckos. Dumping them over here, shearing them. That's 50 kilos per glossy Drecklet, so 2 more and I'd have enough for a steam turbine. So I would basically keep harvesting a bunch of glossy Drecklets. I'd only shear them once, and all I need is 4 of them, and I've got enough for 1 steam turbine. Steam turbines are actually pretty low down on the research list. Where is it? Yeah, steam turbine right there. Not that hard to get your hands on. Once I have that, I can start actually generating cooling and generating water. But at the same time, I'm going to need to get up a whole bunch of arbor trees. These arbor trees I would put into actually getting ethanol, which I think I've already got that. Yep, ethanol distillery. Throw that down. Use the steam turbine to help cool the whole system, and I'd pipe actual water into them. By and large, this map, how would I rate it? You've got a lot more water going on. A lot. Actually, let me open up debug menu here. Let me have a quick look around. So a quick skip around, and I found that there's about 7 vents, as in 7 of these water vents lying around the map. Now, bear in mind this is a geoactive. I had to double check. This is a geoactive map, so you get a little bit more. But still, that's 7 water sources. Even if I only got 4 water sources, that would be these things average about 2.5 kilos. There is a lot of water going around on these maps. A lot. You don't have to worry about you will be doing farming, you will be doing all your oxygen production via water. You won't have to care. You will be swimming in water for all of your needs. You can make your base as big as you like. You can run as many hydrogen rockets, well, lots of hydrogen rockets. There's plenty of water all around the map. Oxygen is not going to be a long-term problem. Crops are not going to be a long-term problem. You can throw water at everything. Only downsides, at the start you're stuck with these oxyferns. People say these oxyferns are great, and in theory they are. You feed them water, they're wonderful. The downside is the minus 40C. That minus 40C used to be a downside, but now that I think about it, you can straight sieve polluted water and it will turn into clean water, and it will keep its temperature. So you find some salt water in here. This salt water is 24, 34, 32. You can actually just straight sieve water now from pretty much any biome you find it, and it will become clean water at the same temperature, which means you'll probably be able to just run crops off it. I mean, what's mealwood diet? Oh, 30C. Okay, so mealwood's a little bit light. That's probably why they limit you, but it will be able to be dumped straight into your oxyferns. I'm liking this. This is a very easy map once you get out of your starting area. The only thing that will stifle you a bit at the start is the not having a good oxygen source. What you want to do, get a dupe, get them immediately into hard digging. Once they get hard digging, they can dig very firm material. That gets you out of your starter biome, and you can get into the slime biome or the caustic biome and get yourself an alternative source of oxygen. That's all you need to do to tide you over, and then immediately get into an electrolyzer. There's plenty of water lying around the map. You don't have to be this elaborate, and if you're smart and get into ranching really quickly, you won't even have to worry about the hot oxygen cooking your base. As for doing toilets now, yeah, I'm not that worried. The fact that the water is going to come out of these, just finding out about that water sieve right now has changed a lot of how I would have approached this map. I know, not the best thing to hear at the end of this. All of the maps, well, all of the maps are going to be affected by that change. The water sieve outputting at 40 degrees minimum was, well, it really made things very different. This is going to be a massive game changer. I don't know if it'll stay. This is still in, remember, in patch stages. Today's only what, Monday? Today's Monday where I am. So, yeah, Monday the 16th. So, we'll see how this works out. By and large, oxyferns look a lot better now that the water, when it's sieved, it comes out at a reasonable temperature. But even still, I wouldn't go with them. You only get enough oxyferns to support about, I think it needs 3.3, so you can support about 4 or 5 dupes on them. That's just not enough. You really do need to get out of your starting biome. So that doesn't change. So my advice to get out of your starting biome and get a dupe immediately into digging, really good idea. Someone in the comments recommended get 2 diggers and 1 researcher and then have your first dupe that you hire as your dog's body. I'm actually going to test that on the Arborea map next because that seems like a really good idea and would get you really far. Um, Toilet wise, knowing what I know now, I would probably sieve polluted water and dump it straight into the toilets. I would have upgraded immediately to those a lot faster. It would have cut down on some labor. As for crops, you're stuck. You really only have the choice of mealwood until you can get some other critters up and running. You have too few hatches to mass produce them quickly. I only had 1 pip, which means I couldn't mass produce those quickly. And as well as that, you need to get those arborea trees up, and they take about 18 cycles if you're going to do them wild. You could, of course, dump water into them and get them up in 4.5 cycles. My advice on this map, yeah, get out of your starter biome. Get into pips or hatches for food. After that, you're going to want to look for power. That's where you're really going to struggle. Power wise, there's not much going on. You can burn wood. It produces an enormous amount of carbon dioxide, though. If we look at the power here, wood burners, they produce 300 watts and they dump out 171.4 grams of carbon dioxide. Run 2 of these, you'll get 600 watts, but you'll have to run an entire, what is it? You'll have to run a carbon skimmer constantly just to keep up with the carbon dioxide it's putting out. In fact, you won't even be able to keep up with the carbon dioxide it's putting out running a carbon skimmer. So realistic, you're looking at about for every 600 watts you get out of them, you lose about 120 to the carbon skimmer. Oh, you're also going to have to run a water sieve. Say you lose about 130, 140 watts out of the 600. It's doable, but you're going to have to run a lot of arbor trees. I'm going to leave this here. Next map, I'm going to jump straight into Arborea because I want to try out all the new maps and see all the new biomes. I believe Arborea is the exact same as this, except it's missing the slime biome. Slime biomes are gone, so no gold amalgam, which means setting up one of these, not going to be as simple. It's going to make things much, much, much more interesting. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and good luck.